Well, Week 8 power rankings. We're already almost halfway through the year. It's crazy. But anyway, let's get into this. The Patriots are number 10. That is a sentence that I did not think I would be saying this season, but the way they've looked, yeah. Patriots are number 10. They are the, in my opinion, 10th best team in the league right now. New England, they just keep winning, and that's mainly because of their schedule that they've had. I mean, they've had one good win against the Bills, and then everything else has been like easy games. So, I mean, they lost one to the Raiders. So, I mean, their schedule has not been the best, but they're 5-2 and winning the division right now, so it works. Patriots, after they beat the Bills, I knew eventually, especially going into the slate of games they have, I knew they would eventually make it into the top 10, and now here we are. They're 10 going into Week 8. They have the Browns, who just beat the Dolphins, which isn't saying much, but yeah, that should also be a win for them, and we'll see what happens. But the Patriots are number 10 for now, and assuming if they get the win, and they avoided the interim coach boost that the Titans have, yeah, they are doing just fine at number 10. Number 9, I have the LA Rams. The Chargers, they're done, they're out. But the Rams, they're 5-2. They just got a big win in London against the Jaguars, who I personally didn't think that was going to happen, but they did. The Rams, they have looked pretty good throughout the whole year. There's been times where they've stumbled. Matt Stafford is showing his age a little bit, but then there's times they've just looked amazing, and this week was one of those weeks. They're here at 9. They're 5-2 as well. There's a lot of 5-2 teams, but yeah, the Rams, they've got it. Like, they're there. We'll see what happens now, but they're at 9 right now, so we'll see. They move up a little bit. They weren't even in the power rankings last week. So yeah, they continue to move up and up, so we'll see what happens. But Rams, they're 9. At 8, I have the Seattle Seahawks, only moving up one spot from last week, and that's mainly because of their offensive performance. You can chalk it up to say, oh, it was the Texans' defense. But when you give up 4 turnovers, Seattle is lucky to win that game. They are. So this is going to be my one criticism. The offense still needs to get moving. They're running the ball a lot better than they did last season, so that's a help. However, the Seahawks are... The defense is electric. Like, it's arguably might actually be the best defense in the league, or at least top 5. The offense, they can move the ball downfield when they need to. The problem is they cannot have the mistakes they had last night. They honestly should have lost that game last night, and they could be easily 4-3 right now instead of 5-2. They were able to build enough of a lead to keep that from happening, but when you turn the ball over 4 times, I don't care if some of those were strips, I don't care if Cooper Kupp is throwing the ball, you just can't do that. Sam Darnold surprisingly only had 1 interception, and that was the last turnover of the game for Seattle. Houston didn't turn the ball over, but they turned the ball over in... They did not get first downs. They kept going for it, and it didn't work, especially running it into the defensive line twice on a 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1. I don't know why they thought that was going to work, but that's what they called, and yeah. But Seattle, they're 8. They are able to squeak by with a win. However, that offense needs to really make sure they're not turning the ball over this much. Because if they don't turn the ball over, this game is like 41 to like 12. 41 to like maybe 9. This is not 27 to 19. That's not what the score is if they do not turn the ball over as much as they did. So, yeah. But anyway, Number 7, I have the Eagles. Yep, they're not in the top 5 yet because it is the Vikings, and it was Carson Wentz, but we're 7, alright? The Eagles, they're 7, moving up 1 spot because I had them at 8 last week too. We did not lose 3 straight. I thought we may, but we didn't. And now we get to play the Giants again, which we better win. If we get swept by the Giants, we don't deserve to make the playoffs, especially after what New York, especially what the Giants just did last week. Like, yeah, Sunday. You cannot do that. If we lose to this Giants team twice, because we're going to be in Philadelphia too, so if we lose to the Giants, I don't know. I'm probably for sure keeping Philadelphia. They're not going to be in the top 10 if they lose to New York, even if it's a close game. I don't think so. Yeah, the Eagles getting the win against the Vikings. The Vikings are kind of an up and down team right now. I don't really know if they're good or bad. They're just there. Yeah, we're 5-2. We're now easily looking like the front runners to win our division with Washington going down and Dallas also looking wishy-washy. And Giants giving up 30, allowing 33 points in 1 quarter. That's all I have to say. The Eagles, we should win our division the way the rest of the division's been playing because, number 1, the obvious team that's going to be in second, I think, is going to be Dallas. I mean, New York might get into second, but Washington is definitely not getting in second. They now lost Jaden Daniels for who knows how long. I mean, it's a hamstring injury, so it's not that bad, but it is still pretty bad when he is your rookie, the defending rookie of the year, and the Commanders cannot move the ball downfield. So, yeah, that is going to be a problem for Washington. They're not, I don't think, finishing in second in the division. I think that gives it to Dallas. Dallas is wide open. I think they're currently in second right now. The Giants, they look impressive. They look good. Except for their defense allowing 33 points. I do not think Brian Daboll is allowing that ever to happen again. If that happens again, he might actually just completely crash out on the sideline. That would just be hilarious to see. But, yeah, as I was watching that game, I'm thinking, how? But how do you let that happen? But we'll talk about Denver in a little bit. But anyway, Eagles, we're looking prime to win the division this year again. Like I said, Dallas, maybe, but they're so unpredictable. I don't know if Dallas. I think Dallas can for sure get into second place and maybe sneak into the playoffs at like a 9-7 or like a 10-6-1 record. But other than that, I don't see them winning the division this year. So, Eagles, they win. Eagles, they are going to win the division, I think. We're 7. Moving on. The Bills did not have a bye week, but they dropped 2 spots. Why? Because, well, there's teams that are just look better than them right now. The Bills, I don't know. Like, they've lost 2 straight. They're going to be playing against the Panthers. And that is a game, and I'll talk more about this tomorrow in my predictions, but that is a game Carolina can easily win if Buffalo underestimates them. Like, if they say, yeah, it's the Panthers, they're not that good. That's how Carolina is 4-3 right now. Because teams have treated them like the worst team in the league when they're not. That's the Jets this season. But the Panthers are definitely not in that bottom 5 either. They look like how I expected them to look this season. They didn't start looking like that way, but they did. And this Carolina, they're getting close to the top 10. I am going to have the full 32 team list in the community tab probably right after I post this video. I'm going to post it. But the Bills, they have to definitely play better than they have the last couple of weeks. If you watched my score prediction video, I have the Bills winning that game, but if they underestimate the Dolphins, I don't think you need to underestimate the Dolphins to beat them. If you underestimate the Panthers, they will easily beat you, and that's how Atlanta allowed 30-0. But other than that, Bills, you're 6. You dropped down because you didn't really play. Can't really say much about you because you didn't play. But anyway, number 5, you got the Broncos. Coming back from that crazy game. 19-0 going into the fourth quarter. The game ends 33-32 Denver. Where was this the rest of the game? I don't know. But if they could score 33 points in one quarter, then the Giants better be glad that they shut them out the 3 quarters. And it was only a 1-point game, because if Denver can consistently put up 33 points a quarter, well, that's going to be over 120 points. But that's not good. You cannot allow that, personally. As the Giants, you just cannot allow that. The Broncos, good job. You're number 5. You've played well. You're 5-2. Looked kind of iffy to start the year, but you're kind of hitting your stride a little bit. Obviously not last week against the Jets, but you're definitely not the first 3 quarters of this game either. But at least you swept the New York teams. So honestly, good job, Denver. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I thought you might. Like, right now, the way it's working, I think you can win the division. But the Chiefs are starting to catch fire very quickly, so I would not be surprised if the Chiefs are in the top 10 next week because of who they're playing. They're going to go 5-3, I think. But so this is basically every game pretty much is a must-win, because of course Kansas City is going to control that. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, Denver, good job, Denver. You're 5-2. You move up, you're in number 5. You're going to have to keep winning to maintain that number 1 spot in the division, though. So, yeah, but anyway, especially with the loss to the Chargers and then the Chiefs being the Chiefs, starting to look like the Chiefs again. So, yeah, but number 4, I've got the Green Bay Packers only moving up 1 spot. Why? Because they're not looking the best. They are disappointing me. And I'm going to continue to talk about this tomorrow when I am in my predictions. But if you already saw my score predictions, you already know. I have Pittsburgh winning on Sunday night against the Packers. This is kind of the rundown of kind of what I'm going to be saying anyway. Mike Tomlin is coming off a crazy win. They're going to need... Mike Tomlin's coming off a bad loss. The Packers... They've looked kind of inconsistent a little bit. So, like, they're not blowing teams out like what people thought they would be. So they have looked kind of underwhelming this season. And that's the problem. Steelers, they've looked pretty good despite what happened on Thursday night. I didn't keep them in the top 10 just because of that loss. That loss is just bad. Like, how did you let Joe Flacco and the Bengals beat you? I mean, like, come on. It's the Thursday night curse for Pittsburgh, I guess. I don't know. But the Packers, they've looked kind of wishy-washy, and the Steelers, they're coming off a bad loss. This Sunday Night Football, they're going to be in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is going to want this one too. I think personally, both are going to try to ball out, but I think the Steelers are going to win that game. But anyway, we're getting into tomorrow's game. We're getting into tomorrow's video. The Packers, they're number 4 just because they keep winning. I don't think this is sustainable at all for the Packers, but the way they're playing, only scoring 27 points and you're managing to win. Yeah, every time you score less, or every time you don't score 27, you lose, so, or tie. So, we'll see, but yeah. Packers, you're 4 right now, but I don't think you'll be there. You're 4 right now, but I don't think you're going to be in the top 5 much longer. Anyway, number 3, I have Tampa. Bad loss to the Lions. They're really good. Both teams I think are really good. This is just a bad game. That's why I only dropped them down 1 spot. Just because this was just a bad game, I think, for Tampa. Tampa will bounce back. Yes, losing Mike Evans for who knows how long is going to be very bad, but they've been playing without Mike Evans for a little bit. So I think they'll be fine as long as Emeka Egbuka and all those guys continue to stay, because they've got they really just have a stacked team in general. They've been playing fine to keep winning these games. They're playing the Saints. That should be an easy game as long as they don't underestimate them, because the Saints are not that bad of a team. But the Buccaneers, you lost to the Lions. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think it'll be fine. Number 2, the Lions. I got the Lions. Nope, I don't have the Colts. I have the Lions. Colts won, so why would I drop them? The Lions, they move up 1. Why? Because the Colts just look better. But also the Lions, they're a really good team. They've continued to be a really good team despite losing everyone on defense. This is not going to be sustainable either for Detroit. I think the way they're going with everyone getting hurt or getting suspended, that's not going to help. That is not going to help Detroit. It's not. And I think what will happen last season, I don't think they're going to go 15-2 because they would have to win out. But I think it's going to be kind of similar. They're going to win the good game. They're going to win easy games. They'll probably drop a couple, and then they'll probably have some kind of embarrassing loss in the playoffs, unless they get all their guys back right before the playoffs start. Then, if they're fully healthy or pretty healthy when the playoffs start, then I think, okay, Detroit may go to the Super Bowl. But right now they're number 2. They just look better in my opinion. I think Detroit will probably easily take that number 2 spot back if the Lions have a bad loss and the Buccaneers just have a good win. But other than that, I mean, or the Colts somehow blow a game like to the Titans. But yeah, Lions, really good. You played great against a injured, well, now pretty injured Buccaneers team, but the Lions are also pretty much just as injured, so it could have gone either way. I was expecting it to be a closer game than it actually was. Lions had this game from start to finish. So yeah, Detroit, good job. However, I don't know if you'll be number 2 as long as you might have been. But you had a shot to keep the number 1 spot, and you blew that. So, that's all I have to say. Anyway, number 1, as you already know, I have the Colts. The Indianapolis Colts. They're 6-1. They have the best record in the league. Why would I not put them at number 1? But they finally have a win that I think will convince a lot of people. Like, they didn't need anything to convince me. I mean, I had them number 1 last week. And they've been one of the few teams that's been able to maintain that number 1 spot, aside from the Eagles those first few weeks. But the Colts, I put you at number 1. I took a chance. I gave the Colts the win against the Chargers, and look what happened. The Colts won. The Colts are a really good team, and I think the way the season has gone, the season is just pure chaos. The Colts can maybe win the Super Bowl. Like, is that a real possibility? Like, the Colts winning the Super Bowl? Because they look like the best team in the league right now. They're going to have an easy game against the Titans this week. So they should go 7-1. They just look like the best team, honestly. They do. They dominated the Chargers. I was expecting that game to be much closer than it was. The Chargers, I knew they weren't going to win the game just because their offensive line is just too banged up, and the way Harbaugh has this team organized and structured, the running game and everything else, It needs that offensive line to be healthy, and it's just not. That's why I gave it to the Colts. The Colts did not disappoint me, and now I think they're on a lot of teams' radars to look out for because they are. They are a really good team, and I think if any NFC team beats them, they probably will join them in the Super Bowl, honestly. It might be them versus the Colts versus whoever beats them in the NFC, if anyone in the NFC beats them. Because that's the case, and it's a coin flip, and it'll probably go to either the Lions or Buccaneers. Maybe Seahawks, but I think they need to get their offense moving a little bit for that to happen. Maybe next season Seattle will be a Super Bowl contender, but this season I think they're easily a contender to win their division. I think they can do it. But the Colts, I think they're a contender to win the whole thing. I think they can. I think they will. The way through 7 weeks, I think they are the Super Bowl favorites, honestly. But anyway, that's my those are my top 10 power rankings. Like I said, the full power rankings 1 through 32 will be on a community tab on my on a community post, which I will probably post like right after I finish posting this video. So if you want to see my full 1 through 32 power rankings, go there. But anyway, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Trying to get to 400 subscribers. We're already at 300 and pretty much 40, I think. Like 338 was the last time I checked. So who knows? Maybe we can get to 350 by the end of the day. Who knows? But anyway, let's see if we can get to 400 by the end of November at least, or like mid-November. But yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and yeah. I have 2 other channels, Southwest Gamer and Legos Model. Southwest Gamer is gaming, like Retro Bowl, sports games, so like Madden, Retro Bowl College, Hoopland, games like that. And then Legos Models is Legos. So that's exactly how it's said. But anyway, yeah, so if you're not interested in any of that, links to both those channels will be in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.